The world must never forget that Africa is the victim of two colossal and compounded injustices. First, the profound impact of colonialism and the transatlantic slave trade. The roots stretch back centuries, and the bitter fruit continues to affect Africans and people of African descent to this day. Decolonization alone in itself was not a panacea. Political independence did not free countries from structures based on exploitation and decades of economic, social, and institutional underinvestment. It is high time for reparatory justice frameworks to be put in place.
American genuine apology
I'm going
to
ask
Africans.
the white Americans in the room to please repeat after me. On behalf of myself and on behalf of my country, to you and all African Americans, from the beginning of our nation's history, in honor of your ancestors and on behalf of your children, please hear this from my heart. I apologize. Please forgive us. With this prayer, I acknowledge the depth of the evils that have been perpetrated against Black people in America. From slavery to lynchings to white supremacist laws to the denial of voting rights to all the ways, both large and small, all of them evil, all of them wrong, for all the oppression and all of the injustices. I apologize. Please forgive us for the denial of any civil rights, for inequalities in criminal justice, to any instances of police brutality, to the denial of opportunity, for economic injustice, for any ways that a racial element has played into the perpetration of injustice. I apologize. Please forgive us.
I think that what was done to brainwash Black people around the world, long before they even left Africa, we are still suffering from that legacy of colonization, the legacy of slavery, where the people in power, they themselves don't believe they can do it. We still have leaders who believe you can't make it unless you're working with white people. We have individuals who think only something brought in by white people is what's likely to succeed. With that kind of mentality, it is a very difficult battle. Our battle to succeed, to unite as the African continent, it is a battle of the mind. And each and every African must realize that we are defeated where it matters the most.
This is another apology video to the wonderful people of the beautiful country of South Africa for the false and unjust actions of the United States government. Earlier this week, something deeply troubling happened within what little remains of the U.S. refugee system. A group of white South African refugees was admitted to the United States, even as nearly every other resettlement program has been stalled or shut down. This wasn't truly about oppressed people fleeing danger. It was about how America decides who is worthy of protection and who is not. At the same time, the Episcopal Church, the American member of the Global Anglican Communion made a stunning announcement in response. It ended its long-standing partnership with the U.S. government's Refugee Resettlement Program, a $50 million operation that has supported thousands of displaced people over the decades. So why did they walk away? Presiding Bishop Sean Rowe called it a moral crisis. In his public letter, he wrote that the current refugee system is antithetical to the gospel of Jesus Christ. It no longer reflects compassion or justice, but rather favoritism for the privileged and exclusion of the most vulnerable. In plain terms, when white refugees were welcomed, while black and brown refugees were turned away, the system is no longer grounded in fairness and humanity. The church could not, in good conscience, continue to participate. This was not a rash decision. Episcopal Migration Ministries was one of the only a few faith-based agencies authorized to help refugees in the U.S. But as Bishop Rao clearly stated, continue under a racially biased system would mean compromising the church's core beliefs. Let's be clear. South Africans of all creeds and colors, like all people, have the right to seek safety if they are truly in danger. This is not about denying anyone protection. It's about asking why doors are slammed shut to people fleeing war in the Sudan or the Congo, persecution in Myanmar, or the crisis in Gaza. And many white South Africans themselves have appeared on the BBC, CNN, and elsewhere, saying this refugee program is based on false claims. They are gravely offended by how the American administration has misrepresented South Africa. The Episcopal Church reminds us that welcoming the stranger isn't just a line from Scripture. It is a living commitment. And when the system becomes unjust, that commitment doesn't fade, it deepens. This stand also honors the legacy of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a senior Anglican elder who stood courageously against apartheid, racism, exclusion, and indifference. To act in his spirit means standing boldly for justice no matter who is in power. And this moment resonates deeply across the millions of Anglicans in South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Zambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, as well as people of other faith who understand what it means to suffer injustice and to resist that with grace. This isn't an isolated act. Since January, the United States has drastically cut refugee admissions. Processing backlogs leaves families in limbo. Whole populations are excluded by race or nationality. In this context, giving preference to white cultural European refugees is not humanitarianism. It's racism, plain and simple. That's why the Episcopal Church's decision matters. They're not retreating. They're calling for a new transformation, for Americans to treat refugee support not as a political tool, but as a sacred trust. And they haven't abandoned refugees. The church will continue to help outside the limits of government funding because their help doesn't depend on permission, it depends on principle. The church's choice also reaffirms ties with their global Anglican family, especially in Africa, who see how unjust it is when white South Africans are fast-tracked while others in greater need are blocked. There's moral clarity here, and it forces us to ask, what do we stand for? Do we believe refugee policy should reflect human dignity or political convenience? Are we willing to confront how race and power shape our ideas of who deserves help? This is not just a church issue. It's about what kind of country does America want to be? Will America welcome the persecuted or only those who look like us? The Episcopal Church made its choice, grounded in faith, conscience, and resistance to injustice. We can make ours. We can speak up, support organizations that help all displaced people, challenge politicians who treat human lives as political leverage. Let this moment be a reckoning, a return to compassion, justice, and the belief that every human being deserves a safe place to live. Because if the church can walk away from millions in funding to stay true to its values, then surely we can speak up when injustice becomes policy. Thank you very much for listening, and again, a big apology to the people of South Africa for the great injustice that's been inflicted on you and all of the false claims that have been made. It's really, really unfair, and many of us will stand up and continue to support and defend you. Thank you.
Is that, we're always taught that Nazi Germany during the 1930s and 40s was the really horrific period in German history, but this massacre, this genocide, took place in 1904, several decades before Nazi Germany even existed.
Exactly, and they had similar techniques. So the techniques that were to be perfected in Germany during the Nazi period were actually developed and exercised at first in Namibia. So mass concentration camps, slave camps, people were given these dog necklaces with numbers on there. Their labor was then sold off to private entities in which the German army was paid for. The Herero people, 75% of them no longer exist, were exterminated. The Namibian people, 50% of them no longer exist. And Germany is debating whether it owes reparations and a full formal apology. Now, to put this into context, Germany paid Israel in 1950 a sum of £3 billion in compensation. In 2013, it then decided to pay an extra 800 million euros, but yet, almost 100 years after this, more than 100 years after this, they're still debating whether the Namibian people deserve not only formal apology, but to repair the damage, and also how they haven't returned all the skulls that sit in German museums. It's a really sad story, and it shows not only do black lives not matter, but black genocides don't matter, especially against African people on the African continent.
Right. Welcome back, family. I hope that you're doing good. Welcome again. Now, this is the Kenyan Explorer. And now, today, the world is apologizing to Africa for the ignorance, because what today is happening is because what today is being done in Africa, which is affecting people, which is affecting or bringing a lot of effects to everyone, not only the black or the white, but across the rest. It is started long time ago. But since the time it started, the people who lived centuries and centuries, decades over decades, the black people tried to warn the world, tried to educate the world that, you know what, we need to give opportunity and chance to the black man, to the black people, because they were made to lead, they were made to control and dominate. Because the black people only, what they were blessed with is the humanity and power to rule. If you can remember, during the time of colonization, long time ago, the Europe continent was ruled by black people like who are the Moors. They're the people who feared this Europe. They fought for it, they ruled it, they built it. But after they were taken out, Europe started to collapse. And this not only happened to Europe, but across the world. Black people have built the world for the longest time. They have contributed much in building the world. Not only their resources or their richness, but their effort, their knowledge, their power and their strength build the world. So this gives me a direction to what is happening today when you look out for what is happening today in Europe, in America, in Britain. What's happening, it reminds me a lot from the history and everything that I've tried to go through when I do my research here. So what is making the world to apologize to Africa? Today everyone is coming out saying that we are sorry, black people. We are sorry, black people, for what we did. We never knew. And this reminds me just of the late actions of all that has happened in America, when the black people were coming out to warn white Americans that what you are doing today, when we make, what will be the great mistake is to elect DJT back in office. Because those people were already tested this man for the first time. And they're the one who voted him out for the second time. And again, they're the one who came to vote him in for the third time. So what was that wrong that they saw for the second term, which cost them or made them to vote out? And again, they saw it differently to make them vote him in for the second time. So they are doing what they know and what they expected. So whenever I see the white Americans are coming out, to complain much about the Trump's regime and how they are passing through, how life is in America, how I feel so surprised, because this man never came just from nowhere and get the opportunity to vote from you, but he was within you. He ruled you for the first time. So you had that opportunity to make the decision because you already knew him. You already know him earlier. So the Americans came in making this decision, believing and hoping that they are going to put someone in office who will bring or change America again, who will change and bring the change positively and make America great again, as how he was promising them. So Trump was coming on his campaigning time to tell the white Americans that I am going to make America great again. So the question that the people never ask themselves is, are you going to make the Americans great again, or are you going to make the white Americans great? Are you going to maintain the culture of white Americans, or are you going to maintain the culture of the Americans? Because America is not only the white people who call America, not only the white Americans who are being called America, because in America we have different race. We have the Latinos, we have the Africans, we have the brown people, we have the white Americans. So those are all these groups and race. They build up America. They made America to be what is it today. They made this great country. They made it to be superior. So when you say that you are going to make America great again, but only by focusing with white Americans, that's a wrong decision. And that is what today is killing America, and that is what is destroying America completely. So I am not saying that you should have did this or should have elected someone else, but I'm sure that you knew what you're supposed to do, because you are the one who lives in this country. You know, you're the one who once lived under the regime of Mr. DJT. So you are the same person who would have known what decision to make, who is the best person for you today to elect. But you failed. You failed. And now the white people today are coming out to apologize to the black people, because they're asking questions. They ask questions. We would have listened to the black people because they tried to warn us. We would have listened to the black people because they tried to warn us, not once, not twice. I can remember during the time of campaigning, a few days to election, Kamala Harris, the presidential aspirant who is a black American, came out to warn Americans that I'm not trying to tell you that you should favor me in your votes, but try to look in what is going to be hard to happen. Election is not all about the race. Election is not all about your person or your tribe. Election is all about agenda. Once you are having someone that you believe and you clearly believe that he's going to make it to change your life, he's going to change your country, then you have the right to wake up, go out and vote for him. But today it's too late, because what's happening is not a genuine apology. The white Americans who are coming out, or the world as how they're coming out to apologize to the black people or to Africa. It is not because they're feeling it. It is not a genuine apology from the heart, but it is because of what they're facing. It is what is happening is not what they expected. They expected something different. So what is happening today is because they're coming out to admit the truth, asking for an apology, because what is happening is against their expectations. What is hitting them, they expected this to hit them, not to hit them, but to hit other people. That's why they're feeding it, and they're feeling like, we should have listened to these people, because they tried to tell us the truth. They tried to warn us, but we didn't listen. That's why they're able to face all this. And as we know, from the history and everywhere, the black people were made to rule. For the longest time, like in Africa, Africa has been exploited, extracted for the longest time. But today, still Africa is controlling, is still feeding the world in resources. Today, Africa is still producing the great people, people with great visions, people who are waking up to challenge the world system. And that is what, and that's not what the world, Africa was made to be seen to the world. That's why it's making other people to panic and face the difference. So I think I'll end my video here so that I can give you space to have the comment section, to have your views in the comment section. Make sure that you drop your comment from what you are think about this video. If you are together with me, then let me have your views, and I'll make sure that I respond to each and every comment that pops in my comment section. You're doing great by tuning in this channel, subscribing, sharing, liking, and those sending me super thanks. I really appreciate you. Are doing great. May we keep on doing this so that I can continue getting space to share our views as the black people. May be blessed wherever you are watching from. I appreciate you. You're doing great, and peace out.